March 6th, 1836. Sunrise at the Alamo, and the slaughter begins. This message, written in the embers of that morning, was never meant to reach you. A Mexican officer ends his silence. 50,000 rounds fired, surrender banners answered with bayonets, and a legendary American, still breathing after the fight, hauled before Santa Anna himself. He reveals the scream's untold truth, the reality behind Travis's final stand, Bowie's death, and the 7 prisoners who pleaded for mercy while Mexico's own commanders looked away. This is the Alamo's final hour, seen through the eyes of the battle's victors who lost their souls. Before we go on, please like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. Therefore, to stop the growing death toll, I urged and General Koss ordered a ceasefire, but Bugler Tamayo's signals proved useless. The shooting stopped only when nobody remained to kill. 50,000 cartridges used. Let the skeptic count the spent rounds, 50,000 by my estimate, and decide for himself. Among the defenders there were 30 or more settlers. The rest were pirates, used to danger and unafraid of death, who therefore fought with terrifying determination. Their courage, in my opinion, earned them the mercy that a few begged for in their final moments. Others, who did not understand our language, could not plead for reprieve. Indeed, when these men saw their leader fall and witnessed the advance of overwhelming numbers, their courage wavered. Some, in barely understandable voices, cried out desperately, "Quarter, brave Mexicans!" Others pushed bayonets through cracks or doors, tipped with white rags or even stockings as signs of surrender.
Our trusting soldiers, believing these signals, stepped into their rooms only to be met by pistol and knife from those enemies who rejected mercy, determined to sell their lives at a bitter price. Thus fooled, our men's fury reignited, sparking new fights of doubled cruelty. Orders commanded that no one be spared except women, and order followed, yet this killing served no purpose. Restraint could have saved a great deal of bloodshed. Those who fled fell beneath the cavalry sabers, placed there for that very reason, though they kept fighting even while running. A wretched father, clutching his son, threw himself from a great height. Both died instantly on impact. This butchery lasted an hour until death's blanket finally smothered it. By 6 that morning, all was finished. The troops regrouped, their sorrowful faces showing thinner ranks of lost comrades. Then the commander-in-chief appeared, looking over his battalion's ruin. The field lay covered with corpses, limbs, bullets, and shredded uniforms. Fires consumed flesh and cloth alike, their stench poisoning the air. The dead lay twisted, faces blackened, features frozen in agony, hair and uniforms smoldering, an infernal vision. What trophies these! Soon flames bared some bodies, others were stripped by looters, mostly from our own ranks. The enemy's pale, heavy frames marked their remains. Oh, the pitiful sight of life draining away! The horror! To search that ground and find friends' mangled bodies. With what dread did men look for comrades, and what joy in finding them? Questions flew as thick as bullets among the wounded's groans and final breaths. The general then addressed his shattered battalions, praising their bravery and thanking them in the nation's name. But his words lacked that magic Napoleon possessed, which, as Count Segura swears, no one could resist. The weaver's applause landed hollow, met with cold silence. Quiet might have stayed had I, driven by passion or a wish to hide my unease, not saluted the brave Aldama chasseurs in the Republic's name. A gesture before the commander heaped with unearned honors, proving that flattery is not my nature. Ere Santa Anna spoke, a vile event unfolded after the battle, deemed a shameful slaughter, chilling every heart. 7 souls survived the massacre, shielded by General Castrillon's mercy, now dragged before Santa Anna. Among them stood a man of noble bearing, his face marked by hardship, yet still dignified, the naturalist David Crockett, famous in North America for his unique adventures. Traveling to survey these lands, he had sought shelter at the Alamo when Bexar fell, afraid his foreigner status might invite cruelty. Santa Anna, after Castrillon's plea for clemency, answered with an angry wave, ordering nearby sappers to execute him. Officers recoiled at this order, refusing to obey, hoping time might soften the edge of his fury. But certain courtier officers, absent during the battle's danger, now raced to outdo their men in brutality.
As leaping cats fall on their quarry, so did our men assault those helpless souls, drawing steel, crawling low to satisfy their commander. Though pained before death, those victims died without shout or humiliation. Rumors placed General Sesma among those who struck. I do not swear to this, for I looked away, disgusted by the cruelty. Brothers, remember that terrible hour, spirits trembling with the need for revenge moments earlier? Does just anger not yet move your hearts toward those who dirty their swords so lowly? For me, the memory still freezes my blood. Their suffering screams still linger. What profit came from this offering? What triumph purchased by new killing? Blood cost too much for nothing. Better had those men walked paths covered with their own comrades' bodies, forgiven, ordered to warn their people of our strength and their error. Let them carry news of certain destruction waiting for those who hold to wrongful uprising. From documents taken off the dead and later news, the Alamo's force contained 182 people, yet our count reached 253. Surely the real number matched neither figure nor came close to the 600 bodies our leader claimed were buried in ditches alone. What aim did this falsehood serve? Some saw it as dressed-up defeat, others a salve to justify our heavy losses. Death made brothers of friend and enemy. Before nightfall, fires turned to ash men who, hours earlier, had fought with wild desperation. Our dead found graves in their fellows' hands, while the foe, oddly respectful toward the fallen, blamed their own burning on our hatred. I decided to number the dead as flames rose toward heaven. When peace allows thinking, what gloomy thoughts assault the thoughtful mind viewing that field? Should he be blamed who, having risked his life for duty, now opens his heart to kind reflection? After-battle thoughts, even days later, still held value. Questions rose on all sides. Why was no gap made? What good was our cannon lying still at the moment of need? Why were we forced to climb walls like rising birds? Why, in approving sacrifice, did no one consider our lack of medics? Why were lives wasted in an abandoned, hostile region, losses beyond replacement ignored? Such reasoning bred more, for the Alamo's capture brought no victory, rather a cloud of loss. Bexar echoed with sorrow. Each dead officer brought fresh pain and blame. Late arrivals joined our criticism, though some, twisted in mind, missed their chance to fight, for even unwilling service wins glory's crown. All war experts agree. Combat is the last answer. To this truth I hold. They say that where ways exist to overcome fighting with skill, that path must be taken. Humanity has softened mankind. Brutal methods, killing crowds in short periods, are rightly despised. Killing tricks wiping out whole armies in one move lie thrown aside. It stands as a fixed rule that a leader trusted with an army's care must protect his soldiers' blood as fiercely as he seeks the enemy's. War thinkers and moral teachers alike state, the general who saves his men's lives is his country's savior. He who wastes them freely is his nation's killer. One historian tells how Louis XIV, on his dying bed, found no comfort for the rivers of blood poured out under his command. How even Turin's priests, armed with religion's cure, could not silence his tormented spirit. Truly, empty dreams of fame cannot choke the regret born of pointless massacre. Were General Santa Anna facing the piled bodies of Mexicans lost in his uprisings and poorly planned battles, even his hardened heart might falter. Even the finest commanders have always felt fear before a battle, not for their own safety, but for the troops and responsibilities entrusted to them. But ignorance, seeing nothing ahead, fears nothing.
Some of our leaders, the Alamo's victor chief among them, have rejected these teachings. Throughout his career, he has ignored both principle and wise advice, ruled only by impulse. Recklessly has he thrown away soldiers' blood, the Republic's honor, and the dignity of her forces, safe from punishment, indeed even rewarded, for losing only raises his status as long as it helps political ends. The flames lasted for hours. Once the dust cooled, Santa Anna claimed victory, but in this soldier's voice, burned by shame, there was no triumph, only a warning, etched in flesh and bone. He dared to question everything. Why climb walls when cannon stayed idle? Why kill captives who gave up? Why force fathers to jump to their deaths clutching their children? And David Crockett, the myth who emerged from the wild, did he truly fall fighting? Or did he remain unbowed before Santa Anna, a stranger shown neither pity nor an honorable death? This letter cries aloud what records hid, that real bravery is not dying for a banner, but asking whether the banner was worth dying for. Santa Anna took the Alamo, but as his troops counted the loss, piling Mexican corpses next to Texian ones, one truth rang through the smoke. Sometimes the winners lose the most. What do you think they lost that day? Share your answer in the comments below.